interesting month. I think we've got quite a bit accomplished and a lot a lot of work in progress and a lot of things to go. And we'll be covering a lot of those items tonight. I first of all wanted to recognize Carol Schaap, who's been videotaping all our board meetings, and all of them will be on YouTube. So anybody that doesn't have the opportunity to be here or is away will have an opportunity to watch a video of the meetings. So I think that is a plus. If you look out your handout, I'm really excited about the support we've gotten from everybody. The last 2 pages are the list of all the homeowners that have signed up for our various board committees to work on the specific projects that we'll be working on, as well as some specific work projects that we'll be doing in the future. So I really want to thank everyone, give everyone a hand. And I really appreciate it. In January, I said that your new board is just 3 unpaid volunteers, and we all have personal lives too. And frankly, impossible, even if we work full time, to do everything that needs to be done. So it's really, really important that we have more and more homeowners to pitch in. If everybody does a little bit, we're going to accomplish awesome things. And I think, we're talk a little bit about each one of the committees and what we're working on, what we've done so far, and what our plans are for the future. This has been ringing all week long, so one of the, we'll catch that later, but we do have a couple of important spots left that we need to fill on a couple minutes. Unfortunately, our 3rd board member, we do have a quorum, by the way. We have 2 out of 3 board members and a good number of homeowners, and we appreciate your presence. I guess we're formally supposed to read over, since Elizabeth is not here. I'll read over briefly the unapproved board minutes from the last meeting, and again, a more complete version is on video, so you can watch it in person. But the January board meeting was held on January 20th at 7:15 p.m. It was videotaped by Carol Schaap and made available on YouTube. Board members present at the meeting were Larry Kahn, Lisa Waters, and Elizabeth Davis. The meeting was called to order at 7:15 p.m. A quorum was established with all... Oh, come on. We're going to turn this thing off. I then introduced Erica Moore at the Williams Y, who welcomed us back to Big Tree, and advised us we'd be welcome to use our facilities free of charge on an ongoing basis, as long as we conduct our meetings in a respectful and responsible manner. Again, I indicated that we're going to give every homeowner an opportunity to speak on every issue, again, provided you do so in a respectful manner. So, no yelling, swearing, bad language, or personal attacks. Otherwise, you're certainly free to express an opinion or ask questions or whatever. I'm also, there is a special time for homeowner questions and discussions later, but if an issue comes up during any of the presentations, you feel it's important, feel free to raise your hand and ask a question or express an opinion on that issue. In any event, in the President's report, Board President Larry Kahn indicated that his 2016 Board of Directors goal to make major improvements in every area of our Big Tree community, with a major emphasis on our building maintenance and repair. He also indicated that your new board would be working to reduce our dues and delinquency problems, to clean and brighten up every area of our community, to improve the safety and security of our community, and to make plans to provide social events and activities for homeowners. He then indicated that the new Big Tree board consisted of 3 unpaid volunteers, as I said, would be unable to accomplish our goals without the active involvement and support of Big Tree homeowners, and requested that homeowners consider volunteering for board committees or sign up for periodic work projects. And again, he's done a great job. We got most of our committee filled. We just have a few key spots that we need to get a few more people to, so consider reported that the lawsuit filed against Big Tree by the CAM team for the termination of their agreement had been settled for a very minimal expense. The CAM team would be our association management company for at least the duration of the existing contract, which expires on June 30th of this year. I indicated then that there's not enough money available in the budget for our new board to take care of all our building maintenance and repair needs immediately, but that we would be moving as quickly as we possibly could to do the needed maintenance and repairs. He indicated that the board member, Lisa Water, was in the process of making a complete evaluation of all our Big Tree buildings, which we'll be reporting on tonight, and evaluating all the repair needs for all of the buildings in our communities. In terms of the treasurer's report, I reported that our net income for 2015 was right on budget. Our administrative expenses were approximately $20,000 under budget. All of it was coming from an unused miscellaneous contingency fund of $27,000. The prior year, we were over budget on our grounds maintenance by $24,394, primarily because of excessive tree removal expenses. Maintenance and repair budget, expenses were significantly under budget by $88,890, most of it coming from unspent building repair funds of $76,775, and roofing expenses were under budget by $9,175. We had a net positive of $93,401. I did report that we had $20,000 in roofing bills that were submitted late and will be on our budget this year instead of last year. It's actually work that was done from August to December of last year. Lisa then reported on her progress in evaluating the maintenance and repair and roofing needs of all our buildings, getting bids from contractors, and developing a plan to get our building repair work done as quickly and efficiently as we possibly could. Lisa indicated that our new board would take care of emergency and safety problems immediately and would outline a more detailed plan for getting all of our repair work done as quickly as possible and in as fair and equitable manner as possible. Elizabeth Davis then reported on landscaping. She is working at improving our landscaping at Big Tree as well as the overall look of our community. She indicated a number of homeowners would be working with her. She'll be seeking volunteers for some periodic work projects, which we'll discuss. The Budget and Financial Planning Committee, Bill Jasper, reported that they'll be working on a budget and financial plan along with Louis Lara and myself for developing a 5-year financial plan, which we expect to be concluded in March, by the way. The Big Tree Board of Directors subsequently voted to keep the 2015 budget figures and plan in place until the proposed 5-year plan, which will be submitted to homeowners. And we'll see, hopefully it'll be submitted by our March meeting. Social and Hospitality, PATCON reported that the board was forming a Social and Hospitality Committee, organize social events, to report on that tonight. We talked about some complaints and problem areas. I reported that there had been numerous complaints about loud music and parties going on at 3 and 4 in the morning, domestic disputes, police having to be called, that type of thing. There were also complaints about dogs not being on leashes in our community in violation of our covenants and restrictions, and approve a rule against loud noise violations, music and loud noises of any kind between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. and indicated that we'd be enforcing violations of the rules for dogs kept on leashes, picking up after dogs, feeding wild animals, and for illegal parking. For the enforcement of that, we're forming a rules, regulations, and enforcement committee. Legally, if a homeowner is fined for a violation, they have the right to appeal to a committee of their peers, and so we need some volunteers to volunteer on a committee to work with us on the enforcement of rules and to handle individual cases so that they're done in a fair manner, and homeowners have the legal right to appeal. With that being said, if there are any questions, we'll take them. Otherwise, we'll vote to approve the unapproved minutes of the last meeting. All in favor? Aye. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay. Hate to do all the talking today, but okay, just, we're repeating. I don't want to go through a lot of detail, but again, our goals are to really do everything we possibly can to make Big Tree a really wonderful community in the future. It's a beautiful place, and with a little loving care and some maintenance and repair and work among the homeowners and the board, I think we can make this a phenomenal place to live. We also made a pledge during the campaign, which you've seen on the board. It's still on the bulletin board now, and again, we will be complying with that, keeping homeowners informed of everything that goes on, answering all your questions, allowing you to speak at meetings, treating everyone with fairly and respect, etc. So know that we're not perfect, but we will be working hard to handle everything in a proper manner and treat everybody with the utmost respect. Okay, our major goal again is to really focus on working on the condition of our buildings, eliminating the leak problems we have. We have massive amounts of wood rot, which are a major problem. We've got lots of mold and mildew on our problem. We got a lot of problems with bad gutters, hanging off problems with fences, siding, coquina, not being cleaned and painted, and so we'll be working at all those items. Again, emergency and safety issues will be the number one priority. Lisa will be talking in just a few minutes about where she is to date. She has currently reviewed all of the buildings at Big Tree, and she's got a plan going forward, which I think overall everybody should be happy with. We're also working at improving the overall conditions, the cleanliness and look of our community, from the streets, signs, lights, pool and pavilion, boatyard, again, the landscaping, bushes, shrubs, flowers. We want to make our community very friendly and active, provide some social events and activities that the people might be interested in participating in. Our committee will be talking about that and proposing some things a little bit later in the meeting. So, again, I'm very, very excited and thankful of all the support we've got and all the people that have pitched in. I've been in a lot of committee meetings, and I know a lot of our homeowners have been active, and I think we're on the right track, and we're making a lot of progress in a lot of these areas, which we'll talk about specifically. Again, we can't do everything overnight. It's going to take some time. We are going to, do our utmost to do everything first class, to make sure it's done right, make sure everybody's treated fairly. Most people have been very, very patient and understanding, and we're here to answer your questions. We have had a couple people, unfortunately, screaming and yelling about having had their work orders filled for X number of years, and they want theirs done now, or they're going to sue us or something. I'm going to tell you that, we're going to do it in a proper manner. We're not going to be bullied by anybody. We are going to take care of emergencies. We are going to have a sound plan. We ask you, please submit your requests. We'll give you honest answers, but just because you scream and complain or threaten, you're not going to the top of the list. I mean, got a couple of forms. I mentioned we need some people on a couple of additional committees that are really going to make a big difference. One, again, being the Rules, Regulations, and Enforcement Committee. I've just recently, in the last couple of days, had some of the problems that I mentioned that come up again and that people are concerned about. And so we need to address those issues and to deal with CAM, and they have a specific procedure for warning people of violations and taking a positive manner. Again, we just want to make it a better community for everybody. Pat has got some forms. Pool and Pavilion Committee, we only got 2 members right now. We could use 1 or 2 more members. The Boatyard Committee consists of 1 person. She's sitting there. She would like a couple of people to help. And Infrastructure and Security, if 1 or 2 are interested in joining us, we have a spot there. And Pat will start passing around some sign-up sheets, and they will be available after the meeting. So again, we're going to be moving forward as quickly as humanly possible. Besides the involvement, the only other limitation is the budget. And we have to act financially responsible. We want to move forward as quickly as we can, but we obviously can't afford to do everything, in the next couple of months. We're going to see a lot of positive things happen, I think, and Lisa will talk a little bit about that. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions about it and go further. And so we will be looking at doing things in a financially responsible way, but also effectively utilizing the funds that we do have available in the most cost-effective, best way possible. That's pretty much it. A couple other items. We are, with Bill Jasper's help, we're working on a first edition of our Big Tree newsletter, which we hope to have mailed out within the next week and a half to 2 weeks. Short. So look forward to a newsletter. We also have a problem with not having phone and email contact information for a lot of our homeowners. We got a list from CAM, but it's a very partial list. And so when they send that out, they're going to be sending out a form for making sure we have correct and updated information for everybody that lives at Big Tree, all the homeowners. And if anybody is renting a property, we need the contact information for the renters as well. Bob Woods, who is the president of the CAM team, is a representative for Big Tree. I would love for him to be here tonight. Unfortunately, the schedule makes it impossible to attend meetings on the 3rd Wednesday of each month, and I'd like to look at changing our meeting to the 2nd Tuesday starting in March, just 3 weeks from now. But I think it's important that you get an opportunity to talk to the head of the CAM team, have him explain what they're doing, what they're focusing on, give you an opportunity to ask him questions so that they can be an ally in helping us to move forward and accomplish our goals and objectives in each area. The pool service was being supplied by a company from First Coast Management, who terminated the contract when we switched over to CAM team. We got a couple bids, and we're going to be working with a company called Blue Solutions Pool Service. They're charging us $250 a month for 1 time a week service. And during the busy times, if we go to twice a week, it's going to be an extra $100. It's $35 less than the prior firm was charging us. The other bid that was submitted was from Portofino Pool Service, and they wanted $875 a month, 3 times full. So the price is good, and I did meet with them personally, and they seem very, very professional. They've been in the business a while. They understand it. They have the equipment. They know exactly what to do. So I'm hoping that they'll do a great job for us. I indicated we're also going to be working on dues, liens, and foreclosures. Again, focusing on resolving those issues as quickly as we can so that we don't have a lot of long-term people that get way behind, get dues delinquent, and then we end up in foreclosures and problems. After some discussions with the CAM team, specific approaches that we can take to communicate with homeowners and to work with them, either get them up to date or, again, to take legal action right away so we don't end up with a really long, drawn-out foreclosure issues and problems. Um, That's it. Now the treasurer's report. I'll put on my other. We just got the financial report. I just got it about 6 o'clock tonight. And the good news is the numbers are really, really good. The bad news, I will tell you, they're not representative of the expenses that we're going to be having intentionally. They had a lot of problems because of the differences in accounting systems of balancing the budget and coordinate all the expenses. They had to do everything manually, switching from one accounting system and then trying to go back to another one. But bottom line, if we compare that, I mean, we're compared to the end of the year, we're $8,200 more in current assets. We're up in cash in bank accounts by about $4,000. Our income for January is above budget by $4,347. Our administrative expenses are $1,851 under budget. Our building and maintenance and grounds expenses are $7,499 under budget. Utilities are slightly over $686. So overall, we're $13,912 under budget. But again, you're going to see more expenses. We're doing a lot of work now, and it's going to cost some money. We're going to do it in a responsible way. We're not ever going to be broke. We're always going to have some funds we can rely on, but we are going to spend more money than the monthly budget provides on an ongoing basis. And I'll turn that over to Lisa, and she can now talk about her building maintenance and repair, which is where we'll be spending a vast majority, a major part of our funds over the next several months.
Can I ask a question before we get past the budget? Something jumped out here on the page since there's not anything budgeted. Do we know what this waste management is that's in the negative $493? I mean, could we just maybe look into that since there's not anything in the budget for it? I know you may not know since it's...
Yeah, it was the, Leo had the waste management thing in the boatyard for builders to dump their stuff, which we had it taken out, but we had a bill from last year that we had to pay. That's what it's for.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
I guess you've seen a lot of stuff going on in the last
single-story buildings have never had gutters on them. I don't know why. Uh, However, in my assessment, going and looking at all the buildings, those buildings are really suffering from not having gutters on them. The coquina has suffered a lot of damage. The windows, you've seen a lot of these buildings, the windows have clouded up on them, and that's because when it rains in Jacksonville in the summer, it is like Niagara Falls coming off of that roof. And it has deteriorated the wood trim siding, the coquina. We've got electrical panels, electrical meters literally falling off the walls. The HVAC electrical boxes are falling off the walls because the water is just continuing to beat down on the sides of these buildings. So to put it in perspective, it's about $1,500 to do that whole building and put a gutter on it. If you think you have 4 units in each of those buildings and you divide 1,500 by 4, you're looking at $375 for each unit. That's not even 2 months due. So we'd be crazy not to put gutters on these buildings. Not to mention, I don't know if you've seen them, but I think they look fantastic. They look really good. I'm very pleased about how that came out. We also, I had an electrician out today, finally, been going through a little turmoil with the electrician, but finally got a guy out today. We're taking the lights off of the top of the trim of the flats, and we're gonna put the gutter up and then move that light down underneath the gutter, so the light is better protected as well. So he went around today, detached some very dangerous lighting situation that we had. They're not finished, so when I got a couple more gutters coming out, being put up hopefully tomorrow, the electrician will be back to install some newer light fixtures and repair other fixtures that we have that are broken. So, it's gonna happen, just can't make it happen all at once. Wish I could. This, you probably can't see it very well, but this is my lighting map, and I've got little dots. You know, we've got numerous dots all through the community of lighting issues that we need to deal with. So, trying to get the lights on the buildings taken care of first, and then we can address our street lights that run around through the community on the streets. This is the roofing schedule. These are the roofs that are going to be done this year. This is the only one, it's a flat, the single-story one. So we've got 5 of these to address. The way I'm kind of breaking it down, we'll do about 3 the first half of the year, and we'll do 2 more in the later half of the year. We simply have to kind of break it down funding-wise. I mean, if I had all the money in the world, we would just do them all. But, you know, we kind of have a budget to work with. This is the painting map that I have so far. We're doing 7 buildings right now. He's already gotten through 2 of them completely. He's working on the 3rd. He's got 4 more that have been washed and cleaned, and now he's going to be painting those and doing the coquina, sealing the coquina. The square, circle, and triangle indicate different color browns. We're now going with 3 colors of brown from Sherwin-Williams paints, two are gonna be the green ones. That's what we'll do in phase two. So hopefully, after I get through these two phases, which will be the first half of the year, then I can organize the back half of the year and get everything set up for that.
They're gonna plain and paint on the inside of the porches also.
If you were there and they can get in to do it, they will.
Question, the buildings that don't have the rain spout, like mine, don't have rain spout going in,
What kind of building are you
the second two-story.
two-story?
Yeah.
And now what now?
We don't have a rain spout coming down on the one end. One end has a rain spout, you know,
The
coming.
downspout?
Yeah, downspout, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And mine doesn't, which tends to, I have a garden growing up in my
What building are
gutter,
you?
19.
Okay.
I think I'm scheduled for, to have my roof changed. Our roof.
When is your roof supposed to be done? I think here's my roof schedule here.
That's what Gator told me.
There it is.
Maybe over in the,
Yes, ma'am, building 19, you're due for a roof this year, and I have you as number 3, third in
And
line.
also, is there going to be any protection so the leaves don't get in the gutter, or you're going to have anything like that?
That is something, I think somebody has mentioned to me that we tried it before. I asked the guy who's putting gutters up now, he showed me, it's kind of an aluminum grate, if you will, that they screw into the top of the gutter to keep the leaves and stuff from going in. I think it may have been tried here before and it was kind of a nightmare and they got just clogged up even more, but, that's another thing that I would like to put together is a gutter cleaning maintenance schedule. I don't think we've ever really tried that here, but for instance, you know, we can take a map and say, okay, we want to clean all the even number buildings this month, we want to clean all the odd number buildings next month. And we'll do that 2 or 3 times a year. So I think that might help us with the gutter situation a little
question,
bit.
Lee.
Yes,
You
sir.
clean your roofs every 3 or 4 months, why can't you clean the gutters at the same time?
Yes, sir, they should be doing that.
I think they do.
Yeah.
There's a couple of big jobs. We're doing it on a 6-month schedule. I didn't feel that was enough, that it needed to be at least quarterly. And again, if they clean the roofs quarterly, it'd be a good time to do the gutters as well.
Yeah, again, I think it's a matter of, you know, we need to set up a maintenance schedule for those types of things. I think it would help, and that way you have an organized plan about what has to be done when. So we're gonna work on that too. Thank you. Anybody else? Doing a little bit of fixing or repairing?
I think the gentleman over there asked, but can they come inside and clean the inside, or will we, is there anything for that, just find out?
They will, when we're, when they come, hopefully I'm gonna be better prepared to let you know they're coming. He kinda got way ahead of me, he was moving very quickly. But they will come in and clean, he's spraying to clean for the algae and mold to kill all that. And then he's going around painting, but, you know, it's very important to move your things away, cover them up, move them away, do whatever, and, they'll clean it and paint it. Jose is the painter guy's name, he's wonderful. They've been working really hard.
What for some rotten wood on the inside?
They know that, like I said, on some of the buildings, I know there's a little bit of wood rot here. They're gonna go ahead and just paint it for now, and then we're gonna come back and, fix the rotten wood that's there. The other thing is some of this wood has some very minor rot on it, and when he's cleaning it, at least when he's cleaning it and get the biggest bang for our buck that we can. So that's kind of my plan. And if anybody has any helpful suggestions, I take them at any time.
Is the chimney cap roofers or is it gutters?
That would be roofers, and then we've got a few rotten chimney caps. The roofer that I have to do building 32, I would like to see his performance on the roof and see if he's gonna be a very good and live up to all of my expectations. And if he is, we had a few minor roof repairs, and the chimney caps, there's several of those that need attention. There's one over on Mr. Jasper's, his neighbor, I found the thing laying on the ground the other day.
It's totally disintegrated.
The wind just blew it right off. Anyway, so now then you've got leaking issues when the roof caps are missing or deteriorated. So, hopefully addressing the little leak issues won't be a huge deal and we can get those done.
So you mentioned that, you guys didn't have the information on the homeowners or the tenants or whatever. And, I was wondering, like, do you know exactly what units and that you don't have the people's information? Because I don't have a problem with, going up and finding information out. I would just be myself, since I am by myself. I would feel very leery about somebody coming up to my door and saying, "Hi, I'm with Big Tree. Can I have your information?" I mean, I would have a problem with somebody, unless I knew.
They're gonna mail out a
You guys.
form and ask people to return it for the next
But
week.
when they don't do that, then what?
Good question.
I mean, what I'm saying is, since I am a person that lives by myself, it might go over better, let's say, if a couple people went to the door instead of, maybe just me that they don't know, or maybe just you that they don't know. Get a couple of people to say, "Hey, we're with Big Tree and we're trying to get our contact information together, and we were wondering if we
Yeah,
could get that information."
unfortunately, I think one of the people who I don't know, I don't even have their name, but they don't live there either. So it wouldn't do any good to knock on the door.
So it's a vacant unit?
It may be rented out. But, hopefully, from people signing in and putting your email down, probably most of you, I have your number. And
But if everyone could say, like, take ownership of their building, and if there's anybody in my building that you don't have the information, I could go to them and say, "Hey, we're trying to work some stuff out, and we get your information, and then I can get it to you." And if everybody would take ownership of their
Their
little
building.
building per se,
Yeah.
then, that would be, maybe we could do something like that.
yeah, that might work.
We'll work at it. Cam, again, is sending out a list of trying to pull together. We'll look at, if there are any gaps, and we'll follow up and come up with a plan to contact people in the building and get those that we don't have. Any other questions on building maintenance and repair before we? Okay, you're ready. We are really lucky to have someone like Lisa.
Yes,
who
we
worked
are.
really hard.
Yeah.
She's got an awesome amount of knowledge in the maintenance and repair area. So the work that's being done is being done top quality, right? It's going to last, which is going to be a big, big plus. Unfortunately, Liz Davis had to work at the hospital tonight. She couldn't be here. She's been working very, very hard herself. She's working closely with High Profile. She goes around with them every week and, making sure that they're doing things right, cutting back the right kind of bushes. I'm not a She's been cleaning up signs and painting them and really making things look good. She's got a lot of plans. A lot of things are going to be planted. It's going to happen in March. She'll talk about it in more detail when she's here in 3 weeks at the March meeting. But she's going to be hopefully looking for some people that'll come out and help plant some flowers and some bushes and do whatever you can. And they're looking at having a big cookout afterwards at the pavilion. So hamburgers and food and whatever. And so 3 or 4 hours of work, I think we can accomplish a lot. But Liz has been working hard. She's doing a really good job in cleaning up and making things look good in the community. So we're working on governing documents. Chester spoke before, and I'll turn it over to him. But obviously, the governing documents we're working with now were written by the developer of Big Tree 35 years ago, and there's a lot of issues with them. So, Skip?
Okay, well, excuse me. We had a meeting on February 4th. What we came up with on that, and the meeting centered on dropping the relevant references to the developer, clarifying statements within the document, and defining the association as being guided by Chapter 7.1. And that gave emphasis to the meeting, and as we say, that we centered on those particular things at this point, but we did kind of get into developing a thought of the objectives that we would have and the order of documents that we'd be looking at. And Louis Lear was very good at feeling the thoughts in the meeting and coming up with a document that we have on our objectives and assignments, and we decided that we'd handle it
just give them valuable information, Pam, phone numbers, what our community's about, who to contact, different things like that. And by all means, if anybody, even if you're not on the committee, if you do have a very valuable suggestion or you'd like to throw it out, please just let us know. A few other things that were talked about is maybe a swap and shop. We don't do garage sales in here for security reasons, so we're not even gonna go there. But this would be just something between the residents only. Do it one Saturday. If you've got a computer screen that you don't use anymore and somebody else might have something that you want, y'all kind of do a swap and a bargain. Oh, well, I'll do an even swap for that, or I'll do an even swap for $5. Just something fun, and where you can maybe get rid of a few things or whatever. Another item that was maybe thrown out is maybe like a, my favorites or an Angie's list. Put together a list to maybe help homeowners to share. If you use a plumber and they're good, if you use somebody for auto repair, they are good. If you use somebody that does home repairs and they're top notch. Certain things like that where we can just put together, this is a suggestion, I've used these, here's the names and numbers, we'll share it if you care to use it. Just some general things like that. So, just some fun stuff, but we do have some things planned at the pavilion. We hope that everybody will be able to come and join. I will mention something because this has been talked about a lot. Leo did a great job when he put in the extra sidewalking there going into the pool. I know the pool could stand to have a different mechanism rather than the keys. We just had to replace the locking on it. It wasn't real expensive, it just wears out. We can fix the side that goes along the pool to be a little more level by getting some of the roots out. But when we do have a pool event for some folks that maybe don't walk real well, or that are on a walker, or even a scooter type thing, we're gonna open the main gate going into the pool area, and we will take the lock off of the other gate that's parallel to it that goes into the pavilion. So that folks need a flat surface to walk on. As long as we are up there maintaining the area at that time, we can get away with it, and then we'll put everything back in place the way that it is. So I know a lot of folks have expressed that. We're going to at least make sure that that gets done. Pardon?
What about liability?
As long as-
You leave that pool open, and you got somebody that's got a small kid, and goes in there and drowns.
What I
You gotta have a
indicated
lot of
was
insurance.
that this would be left that way only while the residents of the community are there. So whoever's putting on the event will make sure that if there happens to be any small children, that things are maintained and watched. This is only for the event to have someone come in and out. Once we get everybody in there and everybody's there for the event, we can go back and close the gate. But we're just gonna make it convenient. I know we did have an event come up last year. Some folks came in and we had no way to unlock that second gate that goes into the pavilion. They had to go all the way around the other side where the lock is on the spa side, and it's just a little bit inconvenient. We're just gonna try to say that we wanna make it convenient for everyone since we don't have a solid walkway. It's only while we're there. Once we get everybody in there and everybody's there, we'll close the gate and it'll be locked.
I have a question. You said about the new people's packet.
Yes.
Will that be delivered by people on foot, or is it going to be in the mail?
We have
Pony
no-
Express,
yeah.
Pony Express.
Oh, that's right. It's going to be express.
My thought would be that it could be done in person.
Well, then good. This lady was talking about how we're going to know we can go up and ask for email on it. When you bring this packet,
Yes.
let that be written and say, I'm so-and-so, and
Yeah,
I'm
I-
this. Maybe you have your
Yeah.
email, so you can give,
But we have that form that Cam has sent out before, we can just, have them fill it out.
Once Cam gets a little further down the
but
line,
if we don't.
yeah, we're gonna have to work with Cam and work with that situation. Once we get that a little more up to date, I think it'll fall in place a little bit.
Okay.
Did I understand you to say that you changed the locks on the pool?
No, the pool lock was broken, had to be repaired, and it's now back in working order.
So we still need to change it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I
Yes,
think
Barbara.
at one time, maybe when I moved in also, that was, welcome packet was delivered by the realtor.
That could be,
It was.
I think it was.
It
And
was.
that, and either that or through Cam.
The
Cam.
Cam team.
Through
Yeah.
Cam.
what we found out is we're not getting, Larry's not getting information early enough on.
30 years.
That's a good idea, because we know the properties that are listed, so it's real easy to call
If we can know that information ahead of time, by all means, yes. Because sometimes we don't know. Like, we've had a resident move in recently, and they are a homeowner, and Larry hadn't even got notification from him, so I'm not too sure, you know. But once we get things leveled out, we know which units are listed and stuff, I think, and we've got the packet together, we can get it to the realtor right away and just ask that to go to the title office when they get copies of the deed restrictions and progress, and that'll be part of it. Thank you for your questions, appreciate it.
Okay, pool and pavilion, I mentioned we needed a couple more members. Adrian is on the committee and Deborah Davis. Up till now, myself and Liz Davis has been cleaning the bathrooms and the things, and Lisa and I, we've done minor repairs and stuff on it, but we got the new pool people coming, and it'd be great if we could get 2 more people on that committee, so consider. Yeah, they will. They're gonna start on March 1st, so they'll be contacting me ahead of time. I'll let everybody know. So, infrastructure and security. So, Barbara's, how will we lift your name off the list?
It was supposed to be Mark.
Barbara Evers is supposed to be on this list. I apologize. So, along with Mark Harper, Bill Jasper, and myself. Barbara?
Well, a lot of what I have here, we had a meeting, it was a week ago. A lot of this has been covered. Of course, the priorities are the buildings. And, we figured the next thing that was really important would be the lighting, and you've addressed that already. A lot of things about bulbs, maybe trying to go with a different bulb that would be less expensive, and as we spoke today.
Yeah, Barbara and I talked about it today, some of the lighting units that are fixed onto the outside of the building, they're kind of inefficient, the light bulb is real expensive, the photo cells seem to be going bad all the time, so we're trying to see if maybe, different light fixtures might be better, like a motion light might be better in a certain spot rather than just that light that stays, the dusk till dawn light, and trying to get something a little bit better. Yeah,
How do you know which lights are working on this building?
well, that's an interesting question, because some of them stay on all the time, some of them blink. But I'm gonna, now that it's warmed up a little bit, it was kind of rough working out there when it was cold for me. And I can't even believe I'm even saying that because I come from upstate New York, so. But, here
course, would be something that we really need to deal with too. So I think that committee that you're speaking of, rules, regulations, and enforcement, is that it? Yeah, maybe we can, work on that quite a bit. For security also, um, Mark is looking at, Mark Harper is looking at getting some quotes on improving our perimeter fence around the whole building, or around the whole, community. He said that he's inspected it all and it looks pretty good right now. There's only a few little
Now, we have an ordinance, a city ordinance, that can be fined. And we can find out their address and their name. Can we call the city and say, Larry Kahn at such and such an address needs to have a fine? Can we do that?
I don't know what the city's requirements, we can do it as an association, we have our own rules. So, whether the city does anything or not, I have no idea, but as an
What I want to
association.
know is there's an ordinance, and what do you do when there is an ordinance?
That's all public.
They must know that, and that.
Why doesn't she say something to them?
I know where I
Say
looked
something.
before, it was a $75 fine, and you had to pay.
But you have to have proof.
But bottom line, we need a couple
Well, more than
people.
one person sees it.
Well, that's not usual.
Most well-run associations will have rules and regulations. Cam has given me several samples of rules and regulations that communities have. We need to, adapt them for our particular needs, but they typically have then an enforcement mechanism. They have a procedure where they're issued warning notices, and then there are fines connected with them, and they have a committee that reviews those. Legally, they are required. Can't be a board committee, it's gotta be a homeowner committee. So if we're gonna make anything happen, we need to have a couple volunteers, so please sign up. One thing we haven't talked about is, we talked about, Barb mentioned things like irrigation and streets and lighting, and we're not gonna be able to do everything right away. We're looking at a 5-year plan, Bill Jasper's on the committee. 2 years from now, we're gonna have our roofs done, and we're gonna have a gap. We don't necessarily wanna wait 2 years, but Bill might wanna say something, a minute or two, on where we are with our committee.
We're running like hell to keep up with Lisa, that's what I got.
She had Bill and Lewis walking the grounds, checking out sidewalks and
We're
tree
checking out
roots and
sidewalks and trees and everything else, it's amazing. The good thing is, from what I know so far, Lisa's talking about spending $134,000 this year. And, it could
I
be
adjusted
plus
as
or
well.
minus,
Yeah.
It doesn't include electrical and some other tree removal and stuff like that, but, I figure we have about $210,000 a year to spend, plus we've got money in the bank, which is good from last year, so we can do a lot of building improvements this year. So far, I think we're okay. It's just timing and cash flow, and it's bad debt, and Larry talked about bad debt, and we're doing a lot of things to try to improve that bad debt situation. So I think we're pretty good, but the tree removal thing is, as Luis and I go around, we've only done 14 buildings so far, but we found a lot of trees, and trees are expensive. And we're trying to abide by your category of things that are really kind of imminent danger, and things that are kind of nice to, which are the hangover, kind of dropping limbs, and Penny and I have been a victim of, dropping limbs lately, so we know that firsthand, and thanks to Marvin and others, for helping us with that situation. But the only other thing I'd mention is, since Larry brought it up before, his newsletter. I want to make sure that whatever we do is relevant and of interest to people here. I don't know what that is, whether you want something that's really factual, something that since Carol is taping the board meetings, and people can go online and see what we talked about, I don't know whether we regurgitate all that stuff in a newsletter, or whether we do something else. Now, there are a lot of people that don't come to the meetings, so maybe they, want to know what's going on here, or maybe they don't think to go online and see what's going on here. But I really would like some input, so that if we do come up with a newsletter, and we're going to do that it's relevant, and it's something that you just don't throw in the trash.
I think pretty pictures might help.
Well,
For those-
we're going to have lots of
For
pictures.
those that can't get around or can't come to the meeting or
Yeah.
whatever, that at least some pictures, they can see stuff is happening.
Yeah.
some of the important things that are good to summarize too. Again, with regard
cartoons and if it's recipes and I don't know what it is, but it has to be something that you find relevant, something that you wanna, there's a reason why you pick it up and look at it, yes.
It used to be that, well, a few years ago, like if somebody was ill or in the hospital or somebody had passed, that was nice to find.
Personal
out,
interest kind of
because
stuff,
unless you
yeah.
run into somebody, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to get that information without having a network and maybe, that's what we do need. I need help with this, I need
Well,
people's ideas.
Everybody get the word out, something of interest or of concern comes up, get Bill or let me, we've got emails and we can communicate information.
And that's another thing too. I mean, back to this lady's, the thing over here about privacy and stuff like that. I mean, we understand privacy, but most newsletters these days are distributed by email. You get these email newsletters from all kinds of things that you're involved in. And we could do something like that, and that would be a very cost-effective way of distributing a newsletter. Yeah, but we need people's email addresses. And if we don't have a complete, if we have to print and do it in color and stuff, it's expensive, so. Yeah.
Website, you have a
Website.
I have a website. That website costs $300 a year. Okay? It has a blast email feature to it. You can set up a list of everybody there, all email addresses. You can set out an email and individually blast email to each person. It doesn't just, nobody sees it, you don't see a big CC list.
But the
That's
email
why-
addresses have to be in there.
Yeah,
And
they
so
have to be in there.
if we only
Okay.
have
Now-
half of the
Yeah.
community.
Then another thing, with that type of website, you could make CAM a member of that website in a way that they look at things. And then if we send in work orders to CAM and there's some problems with the way things are, people want to complain about them, they could post on that website.
I've already talked to Cam about it actually, and Bob Woods is supposed to be sending some recommended sites
Well,
and
but
information.
we have experienced the website, is what we're talking
Is the
about.
website secure, or is it just, can anybody get on it?
Well-
No, you have to be, you apply to get on the website and then you get approved, okay? You get
I
a
mean,
password.
I don't want to get into the weeds with it, but Cam could host a website for us. And as I remember, it was $50 a month. For basic information. Now, I know, Skip, you've got one, I've got one. Mine is kind of moribund right now. If we want an official website for basic information, that's helpful too.
Yeah, but if we want to get rid of CAM, I'm not saying we want to get rid of CAM, but if we decide CAM will not want to work for us, we don't want to be held to that. We don't want to be losing that feature because we're not taking up the CAM.
Yeah, I think the key is what kind of information does the community want to have? And I think that's where we need to get people's
And I
input.
think we need a communication.
So that if we spend the time and the effort to do this, and the money, because there is money to distribute it, what is really of value to people? And we need to know what's really of value to people.
Right.
Okay, it's something we'll be looking into and looking at the options and discussing. The last subject, just for a minute, is the boatyard. It's a great asset, but I think it needs to be cleaned up and managed a little more effectively. Pat is the only one on the committee now. She'd love to have a couple people join in and work with her on that. So, Pat?
Let me just ask one thing real quick, because we're out of time. If there happens to be anybody in the room tonight that has a boat, a trailer, and anything in the boatyard, if you would please just stop 1 minute and see me and let me get your name and number. I can tell you that the board and Big Tree is gonna actively get you. You've got a vehicle anywhere on this property, it's got an expired tag, no tag, you're gone, you're out of here, you get it in compliance. That is a statute. That we won't tolerate. You just can't. It gets out of hand. But the boat yard is for the residents to use, and we're gonna try to get a few rules and regulations so everybody knows. We want the residents
it'd be really nice if that boatyard was secure and we could use it as kind of a dog park as well as a storage area, so that the dogs could kind of run free in there off leash.
There's a lot of people that have asked about it, and I will tell you real quick, my son is a fencer, and he's looked at the fence around the perimeter, which is on the verge of falling down to dust.
Okay.
That fence is not built to scale to nowadays, so if we use the poles that are in there, it would have to be built from the ground up, it would have to be custom built. Otherwise, the poles have to all be redone, so there's a dollar figure tied just to getting it secured. I know it's been suggested and it'll have to be looked at.
We'll look at those kinds of things down the road again. The
Just
priority
mention-
right now is obviously, we've got a lot of really, really important building maintenance and repair issues we'll focus on. Again, we appreciate your coming, we appreciate your input and participation.